client intake coming right up. So you've worked super hard, clients are finally getting back to you, and now you need to do a client intake. What the heck is that? Check out this video right now to find out. Hey, welcome to the Millionaire Recruiter. I'm Brianna Rooney, your Millionaire Recruiter. If you have not seen this channel before, it's all about upping your game in the recruiting industry. So let's go to client intakes. Last week we did candidate intakes and just, my take on how I do them and how I build a relationship. Well, it's also really important, very important, to do the same on the client side. So you do a lot of hard work getting a client, reaching that client, nailing the client, negotiating, all of those things. But what's really important is that first client call. And it's just not all about, them interviewing you. It's about you interviewing them, making sure that they will be that great client and getting all the right information. So I'm going to do a cool share screen like I did last week with the candidate intake via Loom, which is fun. And I will just go through what I ask, why I ask, and how you can make the most out of your call. And remember, it's all about making sure they're the right client for you and you're the right recruiter for them. It needs to be a very mutual fit, mutual partnership, which is super important. So I'll see you on the flip side. Okay, so here are just general company intake questions that I like to have, ready to go so I can make sure that myself and my team are really, doing the best job as far as who we're sourcing for, why we're sourcing for. I think that's super important. And then, as you know, we don't want to waste anyone's time, but this very much includes your own. This is super, super important. So there's all sorts of ways you can do a company intake. And with this particular one, what I wanted to do here was just get you very set on what you absolutely need to know. And of course, this is not an interrogation. This needs to be an actual conversation. I think that's super important. So you're going to obviously start with, what are your open positions? If you're a small team, are they open to generalist? And then if you're a larger team, they have to be very specific and why. And as you know that I do tech, so I'm going to ask, what is their tech stack? Of course, this is just going to be whatever you fill, whatever your niche is. I'm sure you can just add that question right here. And then what are the most important roles to fill? Here's the thing. You can go on, you see a client gets back to you, I don't know, let's just say Facebook because that's fun. But Facebook has 1,000 positions open and you're getting really excited. Oh my gosh, all these important roles to fill. But you need to know which ones you need to focus on, because don't just go to the roles go to the roles that are the most important and that they absolutely positively have to have. Because lots of times companies do put roles on there that are more like an opportunistic hire. It's not something that they have to have right now, but maybe it's Q1 and they need it by Q3. So you really want where they need to allocate all of their resources to, and the ones that they're desperate for. I love saying that because then it's, then it's real. So how many people in the company? What's the size of the engineering team? Again, this is just whatever your niche is, whether it's product, design, marketing, whatever it is. You need to know how big the team is. And the reason behind a lot of these questions are because the candidate's going to ask you. And the candidate's super, super important here. So if you don't already know, if you haven't already been on, Crunchbase, for example, who are their competitors? I like to ask that, one, because I like to know where they fit in the market. And then also I like to ask that because it's kind of like a hit list. If they have competitors, then I want to get people from that. But I will ask if that's in their hit list. And so as I ask for competitors, I'll say, do you want people from there? Because sometimes they'd be like, no, I don't want anyone from there. I heard their team's not very good. Or they might be like, actually, we have a non-compete with that particular company. So that happens because a lot of the same VCs fund very similar companies and they might have a non-compete. So you definitely have to ask that because you could waste a lot of time here. How much funding do you have? This is super important. I like to know what their burn rate is. Basically, how long can they be in business, assuming nothing great happens for them? Because candidates want to know. It's super competitive market, and they want to make sure that, especially after COVID, even before COVID, that they're going to have a job for quite a long time. Current valuation. Not all companies are going to tell you this. A lot of it's public knowledge. If they actually did go through another round of funding, there most likely is an article about what they're valued at. But this is just something I like to know. And this is really, the valuation part is more of what's exciting about them, who's going to talk to them and why.
Are they going to go public? Like, that's something I love to ask. What resources is your team using to recruit right now? You want to know, like, look, you have an in-house team, assuming that you've researched this company. You want to know, is your current in-house team sourcing for these roles? Because believe it or not, lots of internal teams do not source for their own roles. They're just handling inbound, and they're just handling perhaps agencies like yourself. So that you have to know. They might have just posted using LinkedIn post, who knows? But just so you guys know that on an average, companies place about 10% or less of people that apply. So that's a super interesting stat. So what is the problem with the resumes you've been seeing? It doesn't have to be resumes, it just could be candidates in general. I would say candidates, probably not in this case resumes, because I think that if you have a niche and you're good at it, you should know which resumes are good. And I don't know if that's been the issue. It's more of like, what's been the problem filling this role, right? Have you made an offer for this role? How did it go? So you do want to know, are people just not making it to offer stage? Are they declining your role? Why? You have to get out any kind of stinky cheese you can find, because again, you don't want to waste your time. You might have a company who just really likes to interview for some reason, which is insane, but it happens. So you need to know how serious they are about filling these roles, because how serious do you need to be about filling this role? And then you get nitty gritty with what's their interview process like. This is another very important question. Not only do candidates need to know, but you need to know this, because if their process is really long, really awful, then again, you might not want to work with this company. However, I always like to give companies my 2 cents, my 10 cents, whatever. But I like to tell them, like, my advice as to, is this a good interview process? Is it not? Lots of times companies are open to changing because they haven't had luck. So they want to know what's going on out there in the market. And that's why you stay on top of market trends and pay attention to all the different interview processes and what it should be. And then salary range for this position. This is not just base salary. This is, do they have bonuses? Do they have sign-ons? What's their equity like? You get really nitty gritty here. You can also say salary bands is another way to say this. Then do you sponsor visas, transfer visas? Depending on what market you're in, you see this a lot more. In tech, I see it a ton. So this is a big question, because this can be whether or not someone can even talk to somebody that you send over. So that's really important. Where's your office located? So this is where it goes to remote work as well. So do people have to be in the office? How often? Are you flexible with remote? A lot of companies now can only take certain states. Not everyone, but lots of people are remote friendly. Some are remote first. That is a difference. We won't get into, but basically you need to know what the candidate needs to know. And this is one of the first questions lately after COVID as what people are really paying attention to. And then relocation. If you're not open to remote, will you relocate candidates? And if so, what kind of a sign-on are you giving them to do that? Because it's expensive to relocate. And then also that comes with timing. If someone's relocating, they have to sell their house, they have to buy another house. There's lots of questions go into that. I personally try not to relocate candidates, just because on the recruiter side, it's a very long, kind of scary process. And I say scary because the awful F word, which is fallout, which is some people don't start. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with relocating candidates. And then here we go. Candidates, can they work from home? How soon can you hire? I would say 98% of the companies say yesterday. I can't help but laugh every single time I hear that. But this is a serious question, not just, yeah, you can hire yesterday, because that's not true. How long does your process take from start to finish? I send you a resume today. When is that person getting hired? Realistically, okay? Any notable perks or benefits? This just goes into, what's your salary bands? What kind of stuff do you have? Lots of times this is pretty standard as far as in my industry, it's tech. But you want to know, like, if there's anything like super amazing that they do. And then, do I send resumes directly to you? I would say now that we work with bigger companies, and just ATSs are more and more common, greenhouse lever, stuff like that. You're most not likely sending direct, but you do want to know what their process is like. And then when you ask, how fast can you get back on resumes? This is more of a standard. This is more of you ask to be nice, but then you tell them, look, our time's very valuable. It's a very hot market. It's a candidate-driven market. I need you to get back on resumes 24 to 48 hours at the very, very least. And then if they can't do that, then I definitely suggest not working with this company, because that means they're not that serious and they're not prioritizing hiring. This is a biggie, 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 biggie. Remember, don't get all super excited to take on clients. You need to make sure you're taking on the right clients. And that is how you are going to drive business and move your candidates forward. So definitely good luck with this.
Okay, welcome back after that. Hopefully you were doing and hitting all of those questions, getting all that information, and you found it super solid to move forward. I know that there are some times that people are having hard times getting into clients, and I'll go over that too, but really this is a very solid candidate-driven market, which means clients should be relatively easy to get, which is why this client intake is just so important in order to build that foundation of the relationship. So if I missed anything, of course, as always, please share below. And do not forget to check out this channel every Thursday at noon, and that money is just a vessel that gets you to do all the amazing things you want to go do in life. So go do it, check it, see you next week.